My pregnant wife got in a car accident a few months ago. Thank God it didn't kill anyone, but it tore a chunk out of her arm. The doctors decided she needed a skin graft. I'd heard of animal skin being used before, but it didn't make it any less strange when they sewed the cow skin on. It was disturbing to watch. The skin looked slippery in the doctor's hands, and it looked so out of place on my wife's arm. It wasn't the right color. It was filled with tiny red holes like some sort of fleshy lace. The cowskin veil was sewn on my wife's arm, and I thought that was the end of it. But even when she started to heal, even when everything went right just like the doctors said, my wife never really got over it. I kept catching her staring at the spot on her arm. She didn't pick at it. She just stared for what felt like hours sometimes, like she was reading it, observing it, waiting for it to change. That's not what concerned me, though, not really. One day, she looked at me, and she told me part of her was not like it should be anymore. She was not completely human. I told her she was just having anxiety. I know that's dismissive. I just didn't know what to say. I knew the car accident was traumatic, and so was the surgery. But how was I honestly supposed to respond to that? I pushed my worry down. I wanted to focus on the excitement of being a parent and the miracle that my wife was okay. But she didn't stop staring. Even when the holes healed and the cowskin melted into the rest of her arm like its own home, like it belonged there, I felt like she was waiting for something. I did not know what. A few weeks after the surgery, I woke up deep in the night. I wasn't sure what had disturbed me, but my wife was gone. Then I realized I could hear something. It was a shrill, singing voice. It sounded like someone pretending to be a cartoon character. I frowned and sat up, and immediately flinched. My wife was crouched next to the bed, right beside my head. Her neck was tucked into her chest, looking at her swollen stomach. "Are you talking to our baby?" I asked. "Yes," she told me, "but it's not your baby anymore. The cowskin is a part of me, so I am a part of its lineage now." She paused and thought for a moment. "I don't know what I'll give birth to. I think it might be an animal." "What the fuck are you talking about?" I snapped, fighting not to raise my voice. She looked at me and smiled slightly. "They say an organ transplant can change your personality. Your DNA remembers everything. I don't think this is very different. I don't think it's as absurd as you believe." A strange smell drifted through the house, like a spirit. It smelled earthy and rotten, but there was another part, almost a sweetness. It was so pungent it was almost a physical presence. It pushed against my nose and squeezed around my head. When I left the bedroom, it only got worse. I reached my hand to the wall, and what I felt was sticky and soiled. "What the hell is this?" I shouted. The kitchen was smeared with spoiled breast milk. There was the faint sweetness of birth behind it all. I was entirely frozen. I needed to call the hospital. I didn't understand any of this. I didn't even know how she was producing breast milk this early, or how it had spoiled inside her body and turned sick and yellow. I needed to call the fucking hospital. I tried to push my worry down, tried to focus on the excitement of parenthood. But this was more than anxiety or trauma. It was more than I could handle. And I failed my wife by not realizing that. I needed to move, run back upstairs. I needed to find my phone. I needed to call the hospital, but I just couldn't bring myself to move. My paralysis only deepened when my wife stood abruptly, and a dark yellow liquid spilled down her legs. My head was a labyrinth of thoughts, all tripping over each other so not a single one came to me clearly. But the smell did. I could still